This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're here for a council meeting. I'm going to do quick introductions and then we will get the show on the road. We have with us from Ward 3, Councillor Curtis Clayton.
Good evening.
We have Councillor Shane Pelche.
Good evening.
We have Councillor Ron Mamchuk.
Good evening.
We have Councillor Janine Boulanger.
Good evening, everyone.
We have our CAO, Mitch Duval.
Evening.
And we have off camera our Assistant CEO, Dominic Lemoine. And myself, Mayor Chris Ewan. There will be others joining us and they will be introduced at that time. So I'm just going to switch over to the AllNet page. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second by
Councillor Blanchet.
Clayton.
Councillor Boulanger seconds it. Thank you. Before we go for the vote, sorry, Mr. CEO, are they all open?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. Before we go for the vote, I just want to have a quick discussion because tonight is focused on appeal hearings. I want to have council's opinion on how we want to proceed with decision making. Do we want to listen to the appeals, listen to both sides from the bylaw officer, the appellant, the CAO's options. Then can I have whoever has their mics on that's not talking? I think it's Gina. Thank you, Gina. Sorry, what was I saying? So do we want to go with option A where we go through the one appeal at a time and then make a decision after we hear from all sides and the CEO's options, or do we want to wait until at the end of everything and we look at each case separately and then make a decision later on? It's up to council as a whole. We can decide that right now before we move on with voting for the meeting call to order.
I think we should vote individually, just because it'd be fresh in our minds, but I'll go with however you want to do it.
I agree with that, Councillor Blanche. I think that's the best choice.
I'd agree with that.
Councillor
Yeah, I
Clayton,
think we should go individually.
Yeah, I agree with that
Individually as well.
too.
okay, so then I think we're all in agreement, Mr. Seal, that per appeal, after we've heard from the bylaw officer, the appellant, yourself with options, council will discuss and debate, and we will make the decision point by point. Appeal by
I shall be
appeal.
ready.
Thank you. Okay, so then I will ask council to please cast their vote.
I've been refreshing. I have no voting powers here, so I'm in
Nina.
favor.
Same here. Okay. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm in favor as well.
I'm in
Is there-
favor.
I thought I had it.
There we go.
It's open.
Got it.
What?
Okay, we'll move on to Mr. CEO, you have the vote. It was all carried 5-0.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to 2.1. Russell Dockett and Gina Herney, 2645 Halma Drive, zoning bylaw order and general compliance order. So for each one of these, I'm just going to give a quick little rundown on how this is going to work. So for the proceedings here, I'm going to read out the item, which I just did. The CEO will explain the contravention. I myself will ask the bylaw officer to explain the order, and then council can ask the bylaw officer any questions they may have that's pertaining to the specific order or appeal. Myself will then ask the appellant to explain their appeal, and council can ask the questions to that appellant. I will ask for a last call from all parties from council and anyone else wishing to speak. And then we will move on to the CEO offering his opinion or his options for the resolution, uphold it, new dates, vary, et cetera, or cancel it. And then we will go for a resolution, moved and seconded, and we will debate as council. So this is very important. I like to be clean and orderly. I ask that we don't banter between one another as the public to the bylaw officer. We're directing it specifically to council. Council will direct the questions through the chair, which is myself, or go straight to the appellant or bylaw officer when it's their time to speak or our time to ask the questions. Once we have closed that, I ask that nobody speaks that's outside of council, so council can really do what's best for everyone as a whole. Other than that, I think we are ready to go. So I will read it again. Russell Dawkin and Gina Herney, 2645 Halma Drive, zoning bylaw order and general compliance order. Go ahead, Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, the zoning bylaw order was issued on February 4th of 2020. This is a violation of the Municipality of Richelieu zoning bylaw 9-2019, which states that the following conformity. Section 5.10, hobby farm keeping of animals, states that the minimum parcel for keeping of animals, including chickens, is 4 acres. Within this 4 acreage, only 10 chickens may be kept by the owner and authorized by a conditional use permit in a rural residential designated area. The second order is regarding sanitation requirement in a derelict vehicle. That order was given out on June 17th of 2020. In regards to the sanitation requirement, it is under the Municipal Act Section 233B that all properties must be maintained in clean condition. And regarding the derelict vehicle, it is Section 4B Bylaw 16/2019 that no owner of property or occupier shall permit on such property and shall keep such property free and clear of any derelict vehicles.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I will now ask the bylaw officer if you want to just introduce yourself. Do you have a camera with you? No, so you can go jump into this one. Dominic, do you want to jump in here quickly and set the camera up? I thought it was on, but I guess not. And are we doing my mic off? It's up. Okay, so I'll turn my volume down. Off, okay.
Yes. Mic test 1, 2, 3.
Council, can you hear? Okay, yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir, and then we'll.
My name is Mike Lawrence. I'm the designated bylaw officer for the Arm Official, and my experience is 11 years in bylaw enforcement and enforcing municipal bylaws. I'm a badged officer with the Corps Commissioners. This complaint came about because of complaints from citizens in the area. It was placed on the tracker for my attention, and the visit was aimed. The visit was aimed at the property. The inspection was aimed at determining if violations are being committed on the property, bylaw violations. It seems like the owner had more than the required amount of chicken, and I gave an order for the owner to cease and desist from having any chickens due to the acreage, and for sure that is a violation of the bylaw. And the other visit was, well, at first they could not have any chicken due to the amount of acreage that is on the property. And the second inspection was as a result of complaints about the smell and the odor and the pile up of garbage and feces that was chicken feces that was on the property. And in so doing, when I inspected, I found garbage. I found hay that was mixed with chicken feces stored on the back of the property, and plus garbage bags with used hay that was removed from the coop and placed at the back. So I issued an order for that. And plus, while on site, it was observed that the derelict vehicle was also on site. This vehicle is derelict, inoperable, not being able to be registered, not roadworthy, and cannot be registered with MPI at this time. So those orders were issued. The property owner subsequently appealed both orders
That's everything?
for this property. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so can council hear me or no?
Can council hear me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, we're just gonna wait till she turns off the mic. I think there's an echo.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're gonna have council ask any questions to the bylaw officer. Any discussion between council and the bylaw officer can go ahead right now. So does council have any questions?
Not here.
I have one question. Had you visited the site more than one time, or have you gone there a couple times, or just curious?
Like a few times, but I only went for one official. The last inspection was just one official inspection.
Did you hear that, Janine? Sorry. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Thank you very much. Okay, we'll let you can sit there if you want, Mike, that's fine. We will now bring the appellant to explain their appeal. I believe they are online with us. Is it Gina Russ? Yes, Gina Russ? Bruce, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Your turn to speak is now, if you would like to say anything.
Well, which portion do you want to start with? Apparently we had a thing with chickens, but we had it, I guess, allowed to go with what we have remaining of chickens that are allowed. There is no odors other than any odors that's outside of stuff. And what that officer was saying, which garbage bags were in the back, which was pure manure from 8 years ago from a farmer of a buddy of mine from Lebo, which we just left it in there and let it compost even better. It's not chicken feces, nothing of even hay, chicken, nothing of that. And we did clean up the inside of chicken coop, all the extra feces, whatever case was involved that day that was ended in end of June or something that was required.
And we phoned before we got the chickens here. We phoned 3 or 4 times to the
Yes.
RM
Yes.
to make sure we had no bylaws in this area
That's
for
correct.
the not keeping the chickens.
That's correct.
And every time we were told the exact same thing, that there was no bylaws except for a, sorry, I had another stroke in July 1st and it's affected my speech. The lady warned us about the only bylaw that would be in ordinance against us would be about the we couldn't keep roosters because the noise.
Oh, they're a pain in the butt anyways.
But other than that, we called several times and every time we got the exact same answers.
Before we got
brought
the
the
chickens,
here.
before we did everything. That's why I spent so much money on my chicken coop and inside the roost area, everything. That's why I spent so much money. We got no bylaws. No, no, it's all good to go. It's all good to go. many times over again, and that's why we brought the chickens here. And these chickens, we kind of want to do every 2 years. Once 2 years come up, we want to get rid of them, bring new ones in, and bring more eggs. It's only for us, eggs, laying birds. It's us only. They don't produce all the time. Now they're in molting season again. It's up and down fluctuation. My understanding that is that past your allowance, I guess, that we can keep them, but we cannot have any more than what we already have, which we don't know the number we're supposed to have. We had 35 to 40 in that little area of a run, which we measured. We did everything of that before we brought it all in house here. And we reduced because it was way too much. We reduced down. Now on the vehicle, yes, that vehicle was insured before I was driving that vehicle. It's not a derelict. I got a brand new motor, brand new tires, brand new transmission in there. I just stopped driving it. It's just because it was expensive on gas and the body is starting to go. And I had another complete body to put onto it. But where I'm, my business I'm in, General Scrap, if you people are aware of that, General Scrap came and they were supposed to take some derelicts out of my area, which was only bodies and stuff that was not like what I have. They squashed that body on me by accident. So I have no extra body to put onto it. I'm still looking for a new body for it, but obviously it's harder to find in Manitoba, Canada side because of the rust. Yes, it has some, but it's a rollable vehicle. I don't understand why it's called a derelict because it has no plates. I have neighbors around here that have somewhat similar to what I have. It has no plates on it too, and sure, there's a complaint on me. Well, then they should get a complaint on them and get their stuff removed too. It's not fair to pick on one person and not all. All's got to be completely fair, not one. You want to say anything?
No.
And that's everything from you guys?
I believe for now until we have but the last comment from the officer, we couldn't hear nothing. That was muffled.
Okay.
So whatever I understand, I think he probably only came once and he took a lot of pictures around that Jimmy and that yellow thing I have outside. But I didn't understand that anything that gentleman had said of how many times he came around because it was muffled, but I think he said once only.
He said it, yeah, he said it was an official, one official and then 3 drive-bys or came to the property 3 other times. So, I think
And drive-bys, if you don't, if I may, drive-bys, you see barely anything of this Jimmy, and whereas when you drive by other yards, you see full motorhomes that have been sitting there for years without being moved, that are completely full of probably of mice, rats, the whole 9 yards, and nothing is said about them.
Yeah, and we have cats here obviously as well to take care of our mice issue. We just, I don't know if maybe we're being picked on. I'm not sure. I just want to be fair with everybody. But the vehicle is going to be, I hope in the future it's going to be up if I can find a complete another body, which is probably the better way around. But it's not a rusted out derelict. I used to drive it. I took the plates off. Just why keep it on?
Mm-hmm.
If I may, when we had one little chicken, when our neighbor was complaining, I got rid of that rooster right away.
Rooster, yeah.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
I got rid of the rooster right away. And our second batch of chicks that we got from the States, every one of them was supposed to be females, but when I had 3 roosters appear in the flock, I right away put them up for
try to get rid of ASAP. Yeah,
give them away.
Yeah.
I just gave them away.
Yeah, because they're just an annoying sounding bird, which we don't need. We don't have to raise extra chicks out of them. We only want to have birds that we buy our laying birds from the States. We don't buy it from here. We go every 2 years. They bring them up to Pembina. parcels and that, we go down there and pick them up. Obviously, we can't go this year and whatever it is, and hopefully we can go in the future. It's just for us. If there's any roosters or stuff, they're gone ASAP. It just this one was just there and didn't catch it, and we didn't get rid of it fast enough. Maybe that's why that one neighbor had complained, and then the neighbor continued on with something else. We don't know. We don't know what it is, whatever the case may be, but we still love to keep what we have. Because it's not a pigsty. It's a clean little area for the chickens, and we did clean it. I pressure washed inside the coop, got rid of the feces. It's actually was beautiful inside there again. It's like a brand new inside a house.
By the way, when we get south winds, depending on which degree from the south it comes, we have a chicken barn that we smell from 5 miles up the road. We have cow barn as well on the same section of road, and we have pigs as well that we have smells from.
Yeah, that's a big business, but still, it's
the smells are around even if we had or had not chickens there on our property.
Okay, I appreciate the explanations. I just want to firstly say that council or the RM, we don't go and we don't want to pick on anyone, so that's not the intention here. And I assure you that our bylaw officers and any complaints that do come into the bylaw officers, they're going around and treating everyone fairly, as I know of. So it's not just picking on one vehicle. There are quite a few appeals and people being looked at right now. So let's just so you know that. But I will now open it up to council to ask any question or any comments to the appellants.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, for the appellant, when was the last time that they purchased new chickens and raised them on the property?
That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So we want to buy new chickens, but we can't go to the US to purchase our chickens because of the COVID. That's where we buy our stuff, and we got better results out of the end compared to buying here in Canada.
Because in Canada, there is one place to buy from, and they do not sex the birds, the kinds of birds that we raise.
Yeah.
Because we don't like white chickens. Well, I don't like white chickens. And we have a fine array of brands, but the ones that are sold up here, they are not sexed. So if we order 10 birds of one, we could get 10 roosters out of it.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed. They don't guarantee what you're going to get from
Whereas McMurray's guarantees.
Mr. Mayor, that's good. I was just looking for the date.
Pardon me?
Just looking for the date. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one more question. I'm just curious if the appellant is running a home-based business on this property, because one of the letters we received, I guess the appeal letter, was from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. I'm just wondering what the affiliation is there.
I have a home-based business, but I'm on hiatus because of the 2 strokes and the fact that I was laid off and my job terminated by Nygaard International. Because of unemployment rules, I cannot do anything with that business as of yet, and I don't know what I'm going to do because of the 2 strokes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the information. Anyone else from council have questions?
Mr. Mayor, how large is the flock right now?
Thank you. That's a good question. How many chickens do you have currently?
I don't know the exact number. It's in the high 20s. Every periodically, the bird's just going to die just because of natural causes. There is no set thing, or whatever case is. I don't know the exact number. I thought the officer came and counted them because they said I couldn't have any more than what I have. But I didn't count recently either. Like I said, way we measured it is we were allowed up to 40 to 45 birds inside that little area inside the next coop and the run area, but that's way too much for us too. It is. So it's in the mid 30s is a comfortable number.
Okay.
And for winter reasons, we need to have more birds than not, because to keep them warm. In our climate, they're out during the day, and at night for warmth, they're in the coop and they produce their own heat. We subsequent just heat very little, minimum.
What happened here?
Mr. CEO, you're there. I just have a quick question. How many chickens are allowed on this property?
Right now, based on the current bylaws or the bylaws that were in place, there are no animal units allowed on that size of acreage. That's why they are in current violation. I guess my question to the appellants would be, who did you talk to at the RM, and when time frame wise, was it 2019, 18, or year? And if you remember the name, that would be appreciated at my part.
There's guaranteed no names involved, because there was just a lady who went around your system. And I don't know if the lady could be even still there. Maybe she just, just quit, retired, whatever the case is. So if it's still past tense of we talked to the such and such a name, well, she's no longer around, which is still not fair. I think it was late 2016. No,
Even 15.
2016, I think it was, roughly. I can't remember the exact year of it. It was 2016.
That's okay. Yeah, 16. It just gives me an idea. That's all I wanted.
Roughly 2016.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Anyone else on council have any other questions?
I have a question regarding the smells. You claim that there's no smells from the chickens, yet we've had several complaints of immediate neighbors complaining about the smells coming from the chicken coop. So I guess it's a question of he said, she said, but I guess I have a hard time believing that there's absolutely no smells coming from the chickens. Is there any way to mitigate the smells, like cleaning up the feces right away, or what have you done to try to lessen any type of potential smells coming from there?
Are you guys there, Gina? Did we lose them? Bad internet? That's a problem in Red Shot. Russell?
They are still online from what I could tell.
Yeah, but it could be like a glitch. Could be a glitch out. Gina, are you there, Russell? Okay, I guess because we have a disconnect with the appellant, Mr. CEO, do you recommend we take 3 minutes and if they come? Oh, it looks like they're reloading here. Gina and Russell, are you there? Mr. CEO, do you want to take a 2-minute break and hope that they come back and then we continue on, or what's your suggestion?
Unless, do other council members have other questions as well? Oh, I see. Yeah, they're back online here, so hopefully we could hear them as well. If you guys want to proceed, Gina and Russ, please.
Yeah, so sorry, Gina and Russ, Councillor Russell, Councillor Janine Belanger had a question. Councillor Belanger, can I get you to ask the question again? Because I think they cut out.
Sure, no problem. So you guys didn't hear my question regarding the smells. My question was, you had mentioned that there's no smells from the chickens, yet several neighbors have contacted myself regarding that issue alone, that there are some smells. So my question is, have you done anything to mitigate the smells, or are you going to be on top of making sure it's clean, those kind of things, just to make sure that there are no smells coming from the coop?
Gina and Russell, we cannot hear you at all. I can see you, but I can't hear you. I don't know if your mic is off or on or what's going on there. I can see your video, but I cannot hear you. It's off. Your mic looks like it's off now. Say something now, test.
Maybe if you turn your video off, we might get your mic better.
You want to say something now? We still can't hear you. No, we hear nothing, Gina and Russell, unfortunately. We just see you. Mr. CEO, do you have any advice? Do you want us to move on to maybe the next one, or do you want us to just close this? I don't feel it fair that the appellant hasn't got to answer all the questions, so.
I agree, Mr. Mayor. I think at this point in time, we can move on to the second case. If the appellants of this one could try to maybe work on the video or audio and see if they could rectify the situation and either disconnect and reconnect, maybe that might be the option. And if not, if we cannot proceed properly, my recommendation to council would be to suspend this application until we could get a better connection with the appellants.
No, I agree with that. If council's all right with that, we will move on to the next one. So Gina and Russell, if you can hear us, we are going to suspend this until we either have your solution fixed with your technology, or we figure out what's going on there. So we'll move on to the next one. Before we move on, Dominic, is there a call-in number for GoToMeeting? That might be a better solution for these people if they're having tech problems. Do you want to grab that quickly? So we're going to take a 1-minute break here. Dominic, our assistant CEO, is going to get the call-in number, and we are going to post it in the chat that the organizer will add to. So Gina and Russell, if you want to look in the chat in about 2 minutes, there will be a phone number you can call in, and then we can finalize and finish up the discussion through phone call for you, so you're not disrupted by the terrible internet service that hopefully will soon be fixed. Okay, so let's move on. While our assistant CEO finds that number, I'm just going to switch over here. Okay, so we're moving on to item 2.2.
What else?
Robert, sorry, go ahead.
Pizzas,
What pizzas?
the one that I went downstairs.
I can hear you. I can hear you guys. Gina and
Oh,
Russell,
okay.
can you hear me? I got two Gina and Russell. Yeah,
Hello.
can you?
Oh, okay.
You got us now? You can hear us?
Oh, we heard you all the time. I guess you guys couldn't hear us.
Yeah, we heard you. I just heard you having a good pizza. So we'll,
Oh. Oh, we don't know yet. We're going to try it maybe in a
okay,
little bit.
you let me know where it's from, and maybe I'll have to order it. So let's continue on with yours instead of suspending item 2.1. We'll continue on. I think the question was asked from Councillor Boulanger. Have you done any mitigation or any remediation for any scent or smell removal, or trying to minimize the
Yes.
smell in?
Yes.
Okay.
That letter that came out, we had to clean it up by June 3rd. As I said, I pressure washed inside the coop area. I had my tiller inside here cleaning everything, and I put some new straw down. It's just better for them for everything other. But it has been cleaned up. Yes, it has been.
It smells no worse than when we get the south winds. Like if they're complaining about us, they should be complaining about those big farmers down the road from us. Because unless they're on our property, you can't smell it.
I don't understand how people are, if they're smelling anything, you got to be right inside there. And then there's only a certain wind. It's got to be a strong wind, which we are getting quite a bit of that. But no, it has been cleaned up. Like I said, by June 30th, we had to get it done by, and what we did.
Okay.
I'm surprised that no one came around here to inspect it, which was kind of shocking of that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Does anyone else from council have any questions?
I guess just about, just have a question about the chickens. So you say that you haven't bought chickens in 2 years.
That's correct.
Okay, and you're saying you've got just about high 20s right now.
That's roughly, yes.
Okay, and again, this is probably hearsay. I don't have proof. We don't have proof, but it was reported that new chickens were brought in this spring. So
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you for that.
And if somebody told you that, that's totally a lie, whatever the case is, to do something to us. Like I said, we buy our stuff from the States because of COVID. We don't go there till starting of May into the US to bring our stuff back.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I just have a general question. I don't know this. I'm not a chicken man myself. I'm more of a turkey guy, but I'm just wondering what is the minimum amount of chickens you can have in a flock before they start getting uncomfortable or they can't bear the weather? I don't know that kind of thing.
We have a the chicken run is tarped off for the winter, and the door to the chicken coop is left open. So the chickens have their in and out for them to go.
From the coop to the run area, the run area is 20 by 20 plus what's inside the chicken coop and their roost, which they step on and then sleep upon at nighttime, and that's just how they do their sleep. And inside the nesting area, the coop is I got a heater in there for winter. Plus they give off 10 degrees Fahrenheit per bird, so they're very comfortable. And I got a little tiny door. They come out as they go, but it's completely covered around for winter, and the top is covered, so no one can get in, no one can get out. Other than summertime, I take it off for the sides, not the top, the sides only, so they get fresh air and see what's out there and get bugs and blah blah blah, that stuff.
I guess my question was more directed to how many chickens need to live together before it, I guess they can't survive, or maybe I don't know, chicken depression or.
Well,
not.
we read a lot online, and they take up I think by 2 feet by 2 feet per bird.
That's
Space-wise, yeah, that's why the numbers that we first start was in the 40 to 45 birds inside our area, and we thought it was just way too uncomfortable, way too packed. That's why we dropped down to, it was in the 30s, but then it's in the high 20s now. So
okay, no, okay, that's good. No, I appreciate that. Anything else from council? Okay, I'm just going to give it a last call here to the bylaw officer. Did you want to add anything, sir? No, you're okay. And then to the appellants, did you guys want to have any last final comments to council?
Other than the fact that they're complaining about smell, they are way too close to my property.
Yeah, there's no smell. They're saying absolutely not. No, I don't believe in that as well.
And the smell is no worse. It's actually worse when we get the south winds from the farmers down the road from us.
Okay.
And that derelict vehicle, like I said, it's not a derelict. I used to drive it. I just stopped driving it. It's just too expensive on gas too nowadays, right? And back in the time when but I just stopped driving it. I just don't know why. I just did, but it was registered to me and drivable.
Is the vehicle still insured? Is it registered?
No,
You know,
no, I took the plates off quite a while ago. I just, because the body was starting to go, I wanted to find something better. And I found something, but then, like I said, they came and they squashed my body. That was called General Scrap. These going to change.
Is the rest of council? We're losing you again, Gina and Russell. I apologize for the internet in Canada. Can you hear us? We can't hear you at all, Gina and Russell. Oh, can you say something? Can you speak now? I think I hear breathing. No, that's okay. I think we've heard everything we need to hear, unless council has any final comments they'd like to ask. No? Okay, then I think that'll be it. Anyway, Gina Russell, if you can hear us, you're more than welcome to stay on the line. We have no further questions. Anyway, even though we can't hear you, everything was said that needs to be said. So I will now move it over to the CEO.
Okay, so council members, when you're going to be voting or discussing the matter, we're going to move to topic 3.1 on the agenda. So make sure that you are voting in the right spots. So as the mayor indicated previously, council may cancel, vary, or uphold an order that was issued. So I'm just going to read the remedies regarding the order. So for the zoning bylaw order, and that's related to the chickens, the remedy in conformity with the municipality of Richard zoning bylaw, remove any and all chickens from said property of 2645 Halima Drive in Grand Point. The acreage on the property is below the minimum standards for any operation of a hobby farm. The general maintenance order remedy, and this is where council will have to debate part one being the zoning of the chickens, which leads to the general maintenance order. But in order to address the general maintenance order would be to maintain or continue to maintain the property in the clean conditions as it relates to the chicken hobby farm located on site. Remove and properly dispose from the property any hay that is contaminated by chicken feces. Chicken feces is designated as garbage under the Municipal Act. 3, that the property properly clean away on a regular basis all chicken feces to minimize the presence of flies or other insects. And 4, that due to the acreage of this property, that no additional chickens be brought on site to add to the present amount. And then last but not least is regarding the Derico vehicle for compliance. The order is to remove the said derelict GMC older model van from the property of 2645 Halima Drive. The vehicle is derelict and permanently inoperable.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll bring it up to the first item on the list, which is the chickens. Council, I'll open, I'll ask for a resolution. Do I need a mover and seconder? So do I have a mover?
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. Second?
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you. So I'll open it up for debate now for council with any maybe decisions or opportunities now for council to say what they'd like to see, any changes we can make, variations, cancellations. I'll let council start.
I'll start. So I understand when they first got the chicken hobby farm that yes, that was they were not misled, but there was no bylaw, so they were allowed to do the chickens. So since then, bylaw 2019 has come out, and it says that you must have 2 acres or 4 acres actually. And So the way I understand it, this would, in my opinion, would be a grandfathered clause. So the chickens that are on site right now are grandfathered, but once they unfortunately pass, that will be the end of that, and no new chickens should be allowed to be on because they do not have the 4 acres that the bylaw recommends or demands. And I should have asked this of the bylaw officer before, but I'll just make a comment to everybody. Maybe somebody else can answer this for me. The comment about the derelict vehicle, it says that it's inoperable, unable to be driven, and cannot be registered for use under the Highway Traffic Act. Is that an opinion or a state of fact? Because I heard conflicting information from Russell saying that the vehicle has a new motor, new tranny, so it can be driven. It's just that he's waiting on a new body and it's too expensive to drive. That's why he's not driving it. So I'm just concerned that that might not be a correct assumption. So those are my only comments.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Belanger. So are you suggesting we keep the amount of chickens that they have at current? Are you asking to reduce it with a grandfather clause that they keep it to that number for a certain period until they're all gone? What was your suggestion?
My suggestion is that they keep the chickens that they have, because we can't reduce it to the bylaw because they don't have the property to conform to any amount of chickens. To reduce it would be to be 0. So my recommendation is to keep the chickens that they have until they die, and then they cannot be replaced because they do not have the land required.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Does council have any opposition or discussion on that term?
No, I fully agree with Councillor Belanger on the chickens.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pelletier.
I guess, yeah, and further to that, I mean, the property owner needs to ensure that no additional chickens are brought on the site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I would like to see an actual count of the chickens too. I don't know how we can do that, but we can get a final tally, I guess we'll call it, of the chickens so we know how many there are. That would be great. So we will go with that unless Councillor Pelletier, you have any opposition?
Nope.
Thank you. Okay, and now let's discuss the vehicle, the derelict vehicle. I heard Councillor Belanger's opinion. I'm in the opinion, whereas I really don't know. I didn't see the vehicle run. I've just heard both sides of the story. There's always 3 sides to a story. Having said that, he did say it wasn't registered because of the cost. So it appears to sound derelict for sure. But again, what's council's thoughts?
Well, for me, I would say that if there isn't an intention to keep the vehicle on the property, that at a minimum it needs to be registered with Manitoba Public Insurance, and I would leave it up to the insurers to determine if the vehicle is roadworthy or if it just simply needs storage insurance. But at a minimum, if the plan is to keep the vehicle, it needs to be properly insured with plates.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Councillor Clayton. Mr. CEO, can we add that into the resolution or order?
So everybody down Hintz Road has all those derelict vehicles need to be registered as well with MPI.
Yeah, Gina, right now it's just council discussing, but I said before, we're not out to pick anyone out. We are looking at each and every one separately. We've gone through lots of municipality and we are cracking down on it, I guess to say. It's a new bylaw, so a new bylaw officer is working with us. So we are working on it, but we can't get everyone at once. But again, this is council's time to debate, not the public's time to chime in. Thank you.
I have a question for Mitch. It was my understanding that the bylaw states that you can have 1 unregistered vehicle per property. Can you confirm that for me, please?
Good comment, Councillor.
I believe that is correct. I do not have that bylaw in front of me at this point. If council wants to table their decision, but I believe they are allowed one vehicle per property.
No, that's a good comment, Councillor Belanger. I guess if council wants to table it, or if they want to put a resolution for that, as long as they are following the bylaw, which doesn't include a unregistered vehicle, then there's nothing we can or should do about it. What's council's thoughts?
Well, I'm okay with the vehicle. That has never been my issue, and I'm pretty sure you're allowed to have one unregistered vehicle per lot. So if that's the only one on the property, then they're not breaking a bylaw, in my opinion.
Okay, the rest of council?
Yeah, I guess we need to determine if it's a compliance issue or not. If they're allowed a vehicle, then it isn't.
Dominique, can you find out right away quickly, or?
Our assistant CEO is going to look. She's getting her steps in today. She's
I
looking
think
right now.
in the meantime,
Mayor,
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, this is the only vehicle he has on his property that is unregistered or not registered, right?
Well, as far as we're aware, but we can't ask the appellant those questions anymore. So we would have to take it that we just don't know. We can't assume anything.
Because there's nothing else in the report saying there's more than one vehicle that was unregistered.
Just getting the bylaw right now. Give me 1 second. So section 6, notwithstanding sections 3 and 4, a person may park or store one derelict vehicle on an urban property, provided that A, the vehicle is wholly contained within a lawfully existing structure on the property, or B, the vehicle is in the rear yard of a property and no part of it is visible from any public road.
There you go. So maybe it's a matter of just moving it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just a matter of them moving it into a
Behind their
location.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, behind the house. So Councillor Belanger, are you asking for that change on the order?
Yes, I would like the change to have the vehicle moved out of sight from Halima Drive as
Thank
you drive
you.
by.
Thank you. Rest of council, thoughts?
Good with that.
Okay. Mr. CEO, do we need to include anything else, or do we want us to pass a vote with your changes to resolution?
I will summarize to the best of my capabilities the resolution based on the discussions I've heard. So therefore be it resolved that council would vary the zoning bylaw order to allow them to keep what they have currently and wait until Mother Nature takes its natural course, until no chickens are then available, and that no additional chickens will be added to the property. And further be it resolved that council will vary the general compliance order to have the vehicle moved out of sight from Halima Drive.
Yes, and I'd like to add on there, Mr. CEO, if we can, that I would like a final count of chickens so we know how many chickens are there.
Yes, I have that on my sheet, but did not add it verbally, so yes.
Appreciate
You
that.
should probably have a visual record of them too.
Visual record, yes, visual, of course. Yeah, where's Waldo, chicken style? Okay, we will call for the vote. What's the number? Sorry, 3.1?
3.1, please.
Council, please cast your vote on item 3.1. It's not open.
Okay. Refresh your screen, please.
Thank you. Cast your vote. Are we still waiting on votes, Mr. CEO?
I am.
Are you waiting for mine? It looks like it didn't go, but I did vote.
Okay, then for the record, what did you vote?
Well, I'll do it again.
Okay, try it again, please. There we go. Okay, the motion is carried 4-1. So that is carried as read.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, item 2.2. Robert and Helen Rutherford, 1285 Bartmanovich Road, derelict vehicle order, vehicle storage order, and unsightly property. Again, for anyone that's just joining in, I'm going to read out the item, which I just did. The CEO will take over with the contravention. I will then have the bylaw officer explain the order. Council will ask any questions they have to the bylaw officer. And then I will then I will have the appellants explain their appeal, any comments they have to add. Council can ask questions to the appellants, and then I will do a last call to hear from either side or any clear-ups that we as council need to ask or make. And then the CEO will offer any options, and I will move it to resolution with the mover and seconder. So I've read the item number. Mr. CEO, please take it away.
Okay, this is a three-parter, 3 orders. The first one is a derelict vehicle order that was dated March 5th. This is in contravention to section 4B of bylaw 16-2019. No owner of property or occupier shall permit on such property and shall keep such property free and clear of any derelict vehicle. Number 2 is regarding an unregistered vehicles on the property. The order was issued on March 5th. This is regard in prohibition of section 2 of bylaw 1-2009. No owner or occupier of a parcel of land property shall permit or allow the parking/storage of more than one unregistered vehicle within the boundaries of the land out in Schedule B, C, D, and E of this bylaw, and Section 3B, that only one vehicle stored on the property is located within an enclosed structure or hidden from public view. And the third order is unsightly property regarding Sections 4AC of bylaw 16/2019. No owner or property or occupier shall permit on such property and shall keep such property free and clear of any rubbish, garbage, junk, and scrap, and further shall not permit any or cause the existence of any condition that may cause the property to be unsightly.
That's everything, Mr. CEO.
It is.
Okay, I will now turn down my mic and have the bylaw officer explain the order.
The visit to this property was, I've been there once, and there were 3 violations noted. There are multiple vehicles that were stored on the property. Some appears to be derelict, but most of them were unregistered. And there were some heavy-duty vehicles also, like maybe one service trucks, a school bus, and several pieces of junk and scrap. And the property was totally derelict. It was. It appears that from the bylaw, this many vehicles should never be on any residential property within the Arm official. So those 3 orders were issued. The owners never called me, never spoken with me, and I believe this has been going on for a couple of years.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Council, do you have any questions for the bylaw officer? Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Council, do you guys have any questions for the bylaw officer?
Not at this time.
None at this time, thank you. Okay, I will move on to, no, none, sorry, thank you. Okay, I will move on to the appellant to explain their appeal. The appellant is, just trying to grab the name. Let's see. Robert Rutherford, you, sir?
I don't, and I didn't hear anything the bylaw officer said.
Okay, I can, Mr. Rutherford, I can repeat some of what the bylaw officer said. He said he was at the property, he was taking pictures. He tried to get a hold of the owners, and there were no contact, at all between the owners and himself, although he tried, and he was only at the site once. And under our bylaws, he believes, from what he's read, that there should not be that many vehicles on the property.
I don't know why he couldn't find us, because I haven't left the place since the middle of March.
Okay.
And except to come here to pay my taxes. And in the previous year, I've had we've had lots of problems. I've had a couple of falls, which laid me up, and the smashed hip. Didn't want to heal, and I spent quite a bit of time in hospital, and we just kept me behind and farther behind. And my son, who does most of the work around there, and he had an accident at work. He was driving a tow truck, had a bit of an accident, damaged his back, and it slowed him down quite a bit. But the junk has accumulated. I got to admit, there's maybe 2 derelict cars. They'll be gone this week. We found we're going to move them to the farm. There's no place you can sell them for enough money to pay the gas. So this virus has just thrown everything in the cold cat. And I don't dare leave home. I'm just too vulnerable. I'm 89 years old and got bad lungs. So the virus is a kiss of death.
Again, I appreciate you.
But we're at it now. Anything that's contrary to the bylaw will be moved. There are quite a few cars there which should have gone, but we didn't get a chance. But they're not derelict. They're whole cars. And they're not registered, and they're not derelict, but they don't need to be registered because we're not in the village, in any village.
Council, do you have any questions for the gentleman?
Just a question.
Council, do you have any questions for the gentleman? Your Ward 4 councillor is Councillor Janine Boulanger.
Which is?
Me, hi there, it's Janine online here. I just have a question regarding, you said there's 2 derelict vehicles on the property, but we have photos of multiple vehicles on the property. So have you done some cleanup since the photos were taken, or if you could clarify that, that would be great.
Did you get the question, sir?
Your word.
I can repeat it. Sorry, Councilor Boulanger has asked, you said that there was 2 derelict vehicles on the property. You've admitted to 2 vehicles on the property, although we have photos saying showing there's more than 2 vehicles, and there's quite a bit of other refuse there.
Certainly there were 2 vehicles.
She's asking, have you done any remedial work since those photos have been taken?
Yes, some.
Okay. Anything else, Councilor Boulanger? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and no, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Can you hear me now, Counselor? Yeah. Did you say something else, Counselor Boulanger? No? Okay, that was it. Okay.
Another problem. We've been paid for theft. So at my door, and we've been paid for theft, so some of the stuff has come from the farm for safekeeping, but the theft is getting right here and getting just about as bad. We lost no end of anything that can be pawned or sold in a yard sale and to buy drugs is gone every weekend. So it's hard to keep it the way it should be, but we're gonna clean it right up.
Can council hear me right now or no?
Barely.
Yes, Shane can. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask a question. Mr. Rutherford, how long do you need to clean up your yard? What do you think is a good time to clean up your yard? Like if I gave you 6 months, would that be enough time for council?
That should do it. If we can't do it in 6 months, we'll leave.
Okay.
Well, we plan to leave anyway.
Council, did you hear that? Did you hear what I asked? 6 months? Okay, council, do you have any other questions other than that? No?
Nope.
Okay, I'll give it one last call if the bylaw officer has anything to add. Is there anything to add? No? Okay. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Rutherford?
I just wonder, were you aware that we are not within the boundaries of any of the villages?
Yeah, so I'll have you just direct it to me only. No discussion.
Sorry.
That's okay. We're all in. I will ask the CAO if there is any bylaw or point in the bylaw that says it doesn't matter if it's between a town or a different zone. That's what Mr. Rutherford's asking, if they can have more vehicles because they're out of town or not.
Okay, so from what I understand, and this was read just previously at the other.
Hold on one second, Mitch, you're muted.
No, I'm talking.
I can hear.
I can hear.
Turn up your volume, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Isn't technology great when it wants to work? I was mentioning that in the previous appeal, the assistant. Okay, I'll try to unmute and mute again. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
I'm just getting so much of an echo.
Can you hear me, Chris?
Yes.
We can't hear you, Chris. You're muted now.
Okay, everything works now. Go ahead, Mr. CAO.
As I said, technology is good when it wants to work. When it doesn't, it's a bugger. Anyway, the assistant CEO read the bylaw portion previously, and I will admit I do not know the bylaw from cover to cover. However, from what I gathered, it did say one derelict vehicle within urban centers. Now, we would have to do a little bit of research to see what that means outside of urban centers, of which where Bart Manovich is definitely outside of an urban center.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Did you hear that, sir? from what we have in our bylaws, there is no definition of what's outside of an urban center, so we would have to look into that. We would have to make sure and confirm that you're correct.
I'm familiar with that because I was involved with it
Okay,
initially when our friend from St. Gath tried to wrote up that bylaw
okay,
to apply to the whole
municipality.
municipality. And at the meeting where they were going to give it first, second, and third reading, there were 75 of us showed up to complain to every farmer in the country, and a lot of it
Okay,
would be hit right in the handle. And so they had to back off. And so what they did, it wasn't applicable outside of the villages.
okay.
Or villages.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I came and got a copy the other day of the bylaw to make sure it hadn't been changed, otherwise we couldn't have noticed if it's changed.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look at the bylaw right now here. So under application, I see number 3, this bylaw applies to all property and to all owners and occupiers of property within the rural municipality of Richot. So I don't know if that clears anything up, Mr. CEO.
You're reading from the bylaw?
I am also currently trying to call up the bylaw on my computer here. So sorry, Mr. Mayor, what was that point that you?
All properties it's applied to all properties under item 3 of application.
Okay, thank you.
Does council have any final comments for either side?
There's still a clause in there, I read it.
The clause.
That said, this does not apply.
Yeah, and then we just read another, there's an application clause in there for it says item 3 under the application. It does apply for all municipal, any section in the municipality, not just urban districts. We just read it out loud. Item 3 under the application section. Do you want to show the gentleman she'll show you the line. Just give it 1 minute and the assistant CEO will supply that.
Mr. Mayor, if you keep scrolling down to number 5.
I'm on full screen looking at each and every one of you, so give me a second.
Was that were you looking at a printed copy of the bylaw?
Yeah, no, the assistant CEO just showing here, yeah.
Yeah, you need to
I'm not as tech savvy as you, Councillor Pelletier.
read a little farther down.
Okay, I don't have it in front of me anymore. She's just getting something. Do you want to read out item 5, Councillor Pelletier, if you're confident that it applies?
Exceptions, number 5, notwithstanding section 3, subsection 4D does not apply to rural areas outside of Cynodale, St. Agatha, Ildershine, and Grand Point, as outlined in the map provided as Schedule A.
Thank you. That's kind of what we're looking for. Does council have anything to add to that comment to that item number that Councillor Pelletier said?
Yes, just looking at the map, in Howden, Marchand Road is the only road that is part of the unsightly or the derelict vehicle bylaw. Fort Manavach Road, or how you say it, is not in the map for derelict vehicle bylaw.
It's excluded. From what you're seeing, Councillor Belanger, it is excluded.
That's correct.
Okay. I think that's the answer we're looking for. Just because of time, I know the CEO and assistant CEO are probably looking something up, but I think we have everything we need, and we've answered the gentleman's question that it is excluded. You are correct in saying that it's applicable. So, Mr. CEO, if you want to move on to the options to offer for resolution, I would appreciate that, and I think the rest of council would.
Okay. All right, so we'll ask for a mover and seconder after, Mr. Mayor, but in regards to the derelict vehicle order, the remedy to the violation would be to remove any and all derelict vehicles of any type and sort that are wrecked, rusted out, partially dismantled, inoperable, partially scrapped for parts, and cannot be registered or insured under the Manitoba Highway Traffic Act. In future, that no derelict vehicle of any type or sort be stored, parked, or located on the property with or without the consent of the owner. In regards to vehicle storage, the remedy is regarding to remove all unregistered vehicles except one that is presently stored on the premises at 1285 Barton Manovich Road, and 2, that the owner may store and keep one unregistered vehicle on the property, which is to be stored in an enclosed structure or accessory building. And the third order regarding unsightly property, the remedy to the violation is to remove any and all accumulated junk and scrap, garbage of any sorts or kinds, dismantled vehicle parts, dismantled sections of machineries, tires, scrap metal, cut tree trunks, wrecked portions of vehicles for possible sale or repairs, plus various other items of junk and unused scrap that contribute to the derelict conditions that now exist at 1285 Barton Manovich Road.
Thank you. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Councillor Mamchuk moves it, second by Councillor Blanchet. Okay, I'm going to open up for discussion, but before I do, I'd like to read something out loud. We've discussed this already, the bylaw. I'm just going to add 2 parts here. After 6A and B are read, it says 7, vehicles stored on rural properties as per section 5 must be kept in an organized fashion so as not to look unsightly. So the gentleman is correct. Vehicles can be more than one, but they have to be kept tidy in an orderly fashion. So just a little bit of an addition to the discussion for council. I will open it up to the floor. Council, did you have anything to add?
I agree, like the unsightly part of the whole order needs to be upholded and looked at and cleaned up. It sounds like he's working at it. He's going to take some time to get it cleaned up. So I think he's being compliant and working on cleaning it up his yard.
Anyone else on council? So Councillor Blanchet, can I say that you're comfortable with a 6-month time frame, and as long as the vehicles are kept orderly and organized orderly, there is no problem?
Yeah, that'd be correct.
Okay, the rest of council, your thoughts or discussion?
I don't agree with that.
Go ahead, Councillor. Say that again.
No, I was just saying I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pelletier?
I'd agree with that statement for the vehicles. There are a lot of other items in the yard that can get cleaned up, and if we give them the time, I don't know about with 6 months isn't going to work too well over winter. You're going to be digging half that stuff out of the snowbanks, but I'm okay with the 6 months.
So Councillor Pelletier, do you want to stick to 6 months, or do you want to do 6 months with an opportunity for 3-month extension due to weather?
No, I think 6 months will be good.
Okay, 6 months it is. Councillor Mamchuk, do you have anything to add?
Oh, no, I agree with that. 6 months should be enough time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. CEO, do you need to adjust your resolution or add any comments?
All right, so from what I understand, the first part regarding the derelict vehicle order, council is to cancel this because it is permitted.
Yes.
The second
Are you-
one,
You're asking
They just need to be cleaned up in an organized fashion.
okay, and
Yes.
then I believe that would be part 2 for the unsightly property, and so that will be upheld with an extension of 6 months, so dated to March 31st of 2021.
Yep.
And then the last part is regarding the vehicle storage. And you guys did not debate that too much. So what do we want to do there? Do we want to uphold the order, vary the order, or cancel that?
Yeah, I think from my understanding, we have to cancel it because according to 7, vehicles stored on rural properties as per section 5 must be kept in an organized fashion. So all we require is organization and cleanup.
Okay.
Different? Sorry, no, sorry.
There's 2 different bylaws, if I may interject.
Okay, no.
One is for derelict vehicle and the other one is for storage of unregistered vehicles.
Okay, so this, sorry.
Bylaw 12009.
Okay, we're looking at 2 different bylaws here. 12009. So we'll debate that for storing of the vehicles. Council, do you have anything for storing of the vehicles?
I'm just doing a look right now.
Yeah, they're just reading it.
Yeah, what does the bylaw state for storage of the vehicles?
We're just grabbing that right now.
I'm looking too.
And just for public knowledge, this is the first time that we do go through these appeal processes, so we are very rusty at the process. Please be patient with council and administration regarding these matters.
There's no tomatoes here. There's no tomatoes here, so everyone's comfortable so far. Does everyone have the bylaw in front of them?
Yeah.
No, I do.
Okay, so qualification on prohibition 3. The prohibition in section 2 does not apply. A, to a parcel of land located outside the communities of St. Agatha, Elf, Ildershane, and Grand Point. The boundaries of each community are shown in schedules B, C, D, and E attached to this bylaw. B, to the parking or storage of unregistered vehicles inside an enclosed building. Okay. Council, do you have anything to debate on this? How do you feel about the order? Nothing to add, council? So the order stays as is that what we're suggesting? Mr. CEO, what was that order specifically just to vehicle storage? Could you read it again for me, please?
Yes, just want to make sure my mic is on here. Okay. The remedy regarding vehicle storage.
Yeah.
Remedy is to remove all unregistered vehicles except for one that is presently stored on the premises. And an owner may store or keep one unregistered vehicle on property which may be stored in an enclosed structure or accessory building.
So do these bylaws contradict themselves? Like I'm confused here.
The bylaw 2009, it says that it doesn't say anything about having more than one unregistered vehicle outside of the urban zone. So the way I'm reading it, he's not in violation. Same with the derelict vehicle bylaw 16-2019. They're both, he's complied because he's not part of the zones that are designated in the bylaws.
Okay, so is your Is your motion, Councillor Belanger, to say that he is in compliance currently and we are to cancel that specific order?
I would like to cancel the vehicle storage order. That's correct.
So that's Councillor Belanger's offer on the table. Does council have any opposition to that or discussion on that matter?
That's what I'm reading here as well, looking at the bylaw.
Yeah, if his property is outside of the zone, that's correct.
Okay, Mr. CEO, did you take note of that we're all under the same line and we will now vote for that resolution?
I do.
Okay, council, please cast your vote. What number is that?
This is 3.2.
3.2. Cast your vote on 3.2, please, with those changes.
I'm waiting for Councillor Mamchuk. Councillor Mamchuk, okay, there we go. The resolution is carried 4-1.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. So you will see the changes. You'll be given the changes, correct?
For what was decided this evening.
So you're good. You can go. You're good, unless you want to stay. They'll say yes. Exactly. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the effort to come out here today. I know it's not easy. Okay, moving on to 2.3. Dion and Catherine Greening, 435 Louis Road.
This is regarding an order regarding vehicle storage. It was issued back in February 26th of 2020. The section is prohibiting in section 2 of bylaw 1-2009, no owner or occupier of a parcel shall permit or allow the parking, storage of more than one unregistered vehicle within the boundaries laid out in Schedule B, C, D, and E of this bylaw, and section 3B, that one vehicle stored on property is located within an enclosed structure.
Thank you. I'll now have the bylaw officer explain the order. Okay, let's figure this out. So do I turn mine on?
The first visit was in February of this year, where this file is ongoing for a while. So I was just following up with this file and from the other officer, and the other officer also took over the file from another person who was looking at the property also. Multiple unregistered vehicles were on the property when I visited the property, 435 Woods Road. Also, there was a trailer stored on the property. That would have been an added accessory building if it is to remain on the property, and that has to be on the property with a permit. So the violation was multiple unregistered vehicles. Earlier pictures show that they were maybe 5 or 6 at the back. Some were removed, but some were still on site in my last inspection. The owner did reach out to me and we had a conversation. But as I said, this is an ongoing file that has been going on for a while. And at this time, I think that trailer is still there. And there are some unregistered vehicles still on site. Everything.
Okay.
Council, can you hear me now?
Yes.
You're good. Okay, Council, do you have any questions for the bylaw officer? No questions? Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I do have one question. Just how many times did you go to the site? Just curious again.
I've been back multiple times, maybe 2 or 3 times.
3, he's saying up to 3 times.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now move on to the appellant to explain their appeal. So at this time, we'll get him to come over here. Dominic, do I turn everything off now?
You just say your piece. If you have anything to add, any discussion you'd like us to send to you or ask you, if you have any comments, anything you want to cite from the bylaw, you are welcome to speak freely, and we can go from there. So I just need your name.
Okay, my name is Dion Greening.
Dion Greening.
All right, yes, as you was stated that I've dealt with several bylaw officers and over the situation, and each time there has been agreements made, but before they're completed, a new bylaw officer assumes the case. So once we have last few times before the bylaw officer I was dealing with, before he came to close the case, there was another one that just took over. And on December 7th, 2018, I received a letter telling me I have till December 21st, 2 weeks later, to move the cars which had no insurance into a fenced area. And therefore I bought and put up a 160-foot fence outline or in the back of the property. And I had the holes drilled in the frozen ground, so it was a lot of work in 2 weeks before Christmas. And I fenced it all in the way, and I put the vehicles in there. And then when I hadn't, then I called the bylaw officer and I explained that this had been done. And then I hadn't heard anything else after that, so I assumed that I complied the way to the letter. I have a letter here as well that I don't know if you'd like to see it or.
Council, can you hear me when I talk loudly? Yes, okay, I'm just going to read this letter out unless we have it on file already. No, so this is dated December 7th, 2018 to Dion Greening. Dear Sir, RE, the RM of Richard Unregistered Vehicle Bylaw number 1, 2009. Acting upon the direction of the RM of Richard Council, the designated officer had cause to inspect your property at 435 Louis Road in the RM of Richard. Upon inspection of the property, it is apparent that a violation exists in accordance with the RM of Richard Unregistered Bylaw number 1-2009 due to derelict vehicles outside a fenced yard. Therefore, the municipality requests that you rectify the situation by remove all vehicles to the fenced yard on or before December 21st, 2018. In accordance with section 239(1) of the Municipal Act, I will enter onto the property on December 27, 2018. If there is no compliance with this notice, an order may be issued authorizing the municipality to take actions or measures necessary to bring the property into compliance with bylaw number 1-2009. and the costs of such actions or measures are an amount owing to the municipality by the owner of the property. In addition to all of the rights of collection which the municipality may have at law, such amounts may be collected by the municipality in the same manner as a tax may be collected or enforced under the municipal act. That's it.
And then on in February, I received another notice, which is the one we're dealing with now, and that's the only since like I said, since this I had heard nothing for a year and I guess a year and 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and when I got this letter, then since then we've sold and removed to scrapyard several vehicles. I believe it's 4 or 5 vehicles I got rid of already, and the ones I do have, they're classic cars. There's 1969, 68 Mustangs and Fairlanes, so they're very hard to come by, these vehicles. So and like I said, once I had that letter about the fence, those are the vehicles that I put within that area, and as far as I knew, I was complying fully, and I did, as I said, since I got this letter, I did remove some of the vehicles. And as far as that trailer is concerned, I called the municipality several times to ensure that I could have this trailer on the yard, and they said as long as it's not a stationary trailer that has wheels, and this one has wheels and it's safety. It's safety till I believe to the end of this year. And it has been moved since. It's not just a storage trailer to sit there. And 2 years ago, we when I got the first letter about the building the fence and storing the vehicles, then we decided then if there's too much hassle, then we would try to find another property. And since then, last year or 2 years ago, we purchased a property north of Winnipeg, 13 acres, and it was a subdivision of 4 lots, and it took, and I have emails showing that we were supposed to get possession 2 years ago, and then it was delayed 3 months because of subdivision issues, and it continued that for just over a year. And we do now have possession of that property. We have the title. And I have blueprints in at the municipality north of Winnipeg, waiting to be approved. And because it's a very significant size shop, I want to build so that what I do have would be inside. And I don't like the vehicles outside either, because the elements destroy these old cars more than anything else. So the plans are to sell our property, and we've been working the last couple of weeks to prepare it. But because of all the delays with the other property and and the permits to be able to build there, there's a material shortage right across the country, like North America, like right in the U.S. as well, and lumber has gone to 3 times the amount for construction in a lot of cases. But as I said, I still don't have the final permit to build on there, and we're running out of time quickly with the winter coming. So like I was saying, I stored the vehicles as per the letter, and I complied right away. I did everything within the timelines. And as I said, I did get rid of some vehicles that I couldn't use the parts for. And I don't know what else I can add to that, but I don't like an unsightly property either. Our yard, if you drive around it, and I believe Mitch drove through around it, and I've spoken to him since, and he was very understanding, and it is not unsightly. You have to go through the yard to the back to actually see what I have. And so, yeah, I have a very nice yard as otherwise. So, and the trailer right now it is more in the yard. I was going to move that to the back. Like I said, I do move it around, and it's just where it is now because we're putting stuff from the house into there to clean the house out. And that's the trailer we also want to use to move when we do move, because it's got a lot of stuff after a while. So
We'll switch over to my microphone. Thank you.
Council, did you have any questions for Mr. Greening?
Not here, no.
He states he's gotten rid of a few of the vehicles, which, like just looking at the pictures, we've got quite a few of them there. Which ones are, like, is everything else back in the fence now? Or do you still have a few outside the fence?
Yeah, everything that's not registered or has plates is inside the fence.
You heard that, Councillor? Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I have a question, Dion. I should know this, and I apologize for not knowing this. Where is your fence? I can't see the fence. Do you still have that fence up?
Yeah, it's in the far back behind the,
okay.
there's a dome building there and it's right in the back and there's trees on one side, so you can't see it from the roadway. So I believe, and if there's any that can be visible from any roadway, they're easily movable to the back.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Belanger?
Yes, it does. Thank you. And yeah, just in looking, I'm familiar with the property from the front and everything, and Dion's correct. The yard is always well kept, and he's got it. It sounds like you have a plan, and it's unfortunate that it's taking so long to get those permits north of the city.
So, okay, I appreciate that. Anything else from council? Okay, I'll do a last call if the bylaw officer wants to speak. Anything to add? Sorry, just give me 1 second. We're just going to switch over the microphone.
I guess the location of the fence doesn't prevent anyone from seeing the vehicles from the sides of the property. So the fence may be at the back. Nobody's gonna facing it will be facing east, so nobody will be looking from that side. People will be looking from the west side, and that's why I was able to take some of these pictures, because you could see, you could clearly see the back from the sides of the road. Notwithstanding that, the vehicles are still there.
I'm just curious. Okay. Yeah, the fence runs, I believe, north to south, so the east or the west side would be sheltered, but or not visible from the road because the fence is right along that road. And on the other side, there's another property, and there's a fence all the way to the back there. So I'm not exactly sure where you're seeing this.
Well, there's no fence. Maybe something's put back there, because these pictures are recent. We could look at that trailer that you parked there.
Yeah.
You can see that clearly from the road. You can see it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That trailer is there because we're loading into it, and then I can move to the back. But if I move it too far to the back, then we're just carrying more things a lot. It's about 500 foot our distance between the two, or 400, I guess.
Oh, okay, that's everything. That's good. I appreciate that. So now I will move on to Mr. CEO to call for options.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in regards to the matter, and it will be resolution 3.3 on the agenda. The remedy for the vehicle storage order is to remove all unregistered vehicles except one that are presently stored on the premise at 435 Louis Road, and the owner may keep or store one unregistered vehicle, which is to be stored in an enclosed structure or accessory building.
That's everything, Mr. CEO?
It is.
Thank you. Okay, I'll ask for a mover.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open it up for debate from council or any alterations, changes.
Well, I'd like to maybe, it sounds like he's been compliant. He's always called the RM for advice, and he sounds like he's been led down a little bit of a wrong path with multiple compliance or bylaw officers in the past, but he's always reacted and been compliant. And he's got a plan. It's just now weather and COVID and those things are kind of delaying the plan. So I would like also maybe to alter this to say that he's got a time frame. If we can put a time frame on it that's reasonable, I guess we should have asked Mr. Greening what would be a reasonable time for getting the yard cleaned up.
Okay, I think, yeah, timeline, I don't mind the idea. Unfortunately, we didn't ask Mr. Greening, but I have an indication that 6 months is not enough time. Councillor Belanger, do you want to throw a number out there? As I do agree with you that he does have a plan. He is planning on moving and taking everything with him. So what's your suggestion?
My suggestion would be minimum of 12 months. I know how long these things take, and so that's what I would like to throw out there.
Okay, council, how do you feel about that?
Well, this is Councillor Belanger's ward, correct?
Yes.
I agree with Councillor Belanger.
Okay.
If I could make the recommendation to council, I don't disagree with the extension of the time frame. So I will put in there 12 months, but I would like to make a recommendation to the appellant and to the bylaw officer as well that there's not to be any new vehicles being added to the property, and that whatever's there is existing, and that we work towards getting that site remediated in 12 months, and then we could reevaluate in the 12-month period.
Council thoughts?
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. For a reevaluation in 12 months.
I'd say compliance in 12 months.
Or he sells his property sooner.
Yeah, as long as, I think Councillor Peltier, it's done in 12 months. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Peltier. Let's put a hard date on it. I think both sides are doing their due diligence, and I appreciate the hard work on both sides, but there does have to come a time at one point. So I like Councillor Peltier's hard 12.
Yeah, he's got title on his property north of the city, so he can move them anytime. Doesn't matter if it's sitting outside in Grand Point or sitting outside in St. Andrews, East St. Paul, wherever it is. So.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
September 31st, 2021.
September.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. We'll be facing COVID-2 by that time. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, I will call for the vote. Council, please cast your vote.
Can I just clarify that yeah, never mind. I understand. Okay.
We are voting on section 3.3.
3.
Are you guys voting?
I voted.
I voted.
Oh,
It was me.
man. Try it again.
Okay, let's just call for the vote in online. All those in favor of the resolution? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that was a 5-0, Mitch.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, does anyone need a 1-minute bathroom break, 2-minute water break?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Let's take a 2-minute.
Take 2.
Thank you. We'll be back at 8:52.
All of these.
Want me to stop it?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are back in action at 8:56 p.m. Welcome to the Arm of Rich Shot. Let's move on here to 2.4. Yeah, 2.4. Don Pentland, Lot 67, Plan 19163 and GP, General Maintenance Order.
This is a general maintenance order that was issued on June the 8th,
I
2020.
cannot hear you, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, I can.
Can everyone else hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something wrong in here.
Can you hear me now?
Technology is working perfectly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, it's my. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Mitch, can you go ahead? Sorry, that's the mayor. That's totally the mayor's fault.
Yeah, the speaker was down to 0, eh?
Go ahead.
General maintenance order was issued June the 8th regarding a vacant and abandoned property unsightly and not maintained. This is contradiction to our bylaw 16-2019, section 4, sub-bracket A, B, and C. No one or occupier of property shall permit on any property and shall keep such property free and clear of unsightly conditions, garbage or rubbish, long grass or noxious weeds and unsafe structures, and further to prevent such property to become a nuisance in the community.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will have the bylaw officer explain the order.
This came about as a result of a complaint. And, on my visit, it's a riverside lot. It's overgrown with weeds and grass, shrubs, and other vegetation were that totally overgrown. There's what appears to be a shed or wooden shed. It's gutted. It's filled with garbage and refuse. And further information suggests that kids were using it as a hangout in the evenings after school, and they may be going there also at night. And there's evidence that the shed is being visited. It's made out of wood, derelict, totally done. And the order was given in for safety reasons. And the owner, he called me once and said he was sick and that he was living in Winnipeg. And eventually, I told him what was going on, and he eventually appealed the order.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Just a check. Council can hear me now. My mic is turned up here. Perfect, thank you.
I'm good.
Okay, at this time, I will ask the appellant if they have anything or they'd like to explain their appeal.
Any questions from council to the
Sorry,
bylaw enforcement officer?
Sorry, thank you, Mr. CEO. Any questions from council?
Just quickly, did it look like there was any attempt? I mean, it's about a 27 acre property. I mean, did it look like there was any attempt to maintain it or, mow the lawn or get rid of the weeds, anything like that?
No, I haven't seen any evidence that anyone was conducting any proper maintenance. And there's a gate at the front. It's just a piece of metal placed across two posts. So you can easily navigate that and enter the property. But absolutely there's no evidence that the property that me passing as a normal person, I wouldn't know that that was like a lot, or it has a civic address or a civic number. It's totally bush.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question regarding trespassing and that kind of thing. So yes, he's got a gate across the driveway. Would a no trespassing sign be posted? Would that cover the property owner's tracks, or is having it unoccupied with a building there still make it? I know it's unsafe, but people are trespassing on his property.
So the bylaw doesn't deal with trespassing. That's the police matter. The bylaw deals with cleanliness and safety of properties. Putting up a no trespassing sign, it's not the responsibility of the RM or anybody. It's the owner's responsibility whether he wants to put up a no trespassing sign. It doesn't preclude him also from from having any contravention on his property. So trespassing sign can't hide violations. It's like telling somebody to, we're gonna keep 50 cars and they're derelict and you're just gonna put a fence and hide them until there's a fire and something happens and then it all goes downhill. So putting up a trespassing sign won't stop those kids from going there. And if there's a trespassing sign there and I get a complaint about the property, I have all right as a bylaw officer to walk past the trespassing sign and do the inspection under your bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from council?
On here.
Okay, moving on. We will ask the appellant to explain their appeal, but it's my understanding the appellant is not here with us, so there's no representation. I'll do a last call if anyone does want to say anything on either side. Okay, seeing none, Mr. CEO.
Yes, council does have the appellant's letter, so it is there for council to consider. However, if the appellant is not present, then they can move on accordingly. So the resolution or the order to do the general compliance would be to conform to the bylaw standards and improve the conditions on the vacant property by removing the derelict and unsafe shed from the site, to maintain the vacant property by trimming and cutting the long grass and weeds that are now growing out of control, in addition to removing all junk, garbage, and rubbish from the property, and to maintain the vacant lot so that it does not become an urban blight or nuisance in the community of Grand Point.
Thank you. I'll open it up. Sorry, I need a mover.
Councillor Blanger.
Second.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Okay, I will open it up for council to debate.
I'm just trying to find the timeline, and that's what I should have asked the bylaw officer. I apologize. The timeline that was given for this person to clean up the property. Mr. CAO, would you maybe have that information in front of you? Because his appeal letter says that there was not sufficient time to clean up, to remove the shed.
I'm right here with the bylaw officer. I'll make an exception so we have all the hard facts. What was the timeline for the order? Oh, Mr. CEO has it actually. Hold on.
Yes, the date of the order was June 8th. The compliance date is June 25th. On the original order.
Okay, thank you. I guess my question is that a reasonable amount of time to remove a shed? What if you're on holidays? What if, like, 2 weeks seems pretty unreasonable in my estimation. Is there anywhere in our bylaws or something that states that has some kind of guideline for those time frames? Or is that a Provincial Act thing, or is that an opinion of the bylaw officer, I guess is what I'm getting at? Or should we put something in place?
I think maybe that's another debate for policy. But are you asking to extend it, Councillor Belanger? I think it's been well more than enough time now.
No, I'm not asking to extend it. I'm just saying his appeal letter stated that there was a really short, unreasonable time given at the time.
No, unfortunately. Sorry. Yeah, I think maybe we will have to have a sit down with the bylaw officer and figure out what those timelines are, and either why he chose that or why the municipality went with that if it's our policy. Yeah, for this specific matter, he gave that timeline. You did say you're not looking to extend it, so I guess the discussion is, do we want to continue as is, or is there any variation to the order?
Well, I also want to just make a comment, if I may. The bylaw officer said that he received a complaint, and that's incorrect. I received a phone call from a neighbor, just concerned. It wasn't a complaint. There was no complaint that the kids in that area were loud or noisy. It was just a concern for their safety. So that's when I alerted the administration of this. So I never thought this would go to bylaw and to get this order. So I'm a little taken aback by where this has gone. There, if you look around Manitoba, there's so many of these buildings, barns that are falling apart. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but to single one out, I don't know. I guess I'm a little on the fence about this one.
No, I understand where you're coming from, Councillor Belanger, and just, I guess it's more of my personal opinion. Once you've asked the RM to investigate something and they do their job on site, they find something that we have a policy against or for, it triggers kind of a, what does that, right? So, yeah, we can't blame you or the bylaw officer for this. He did his job and you were doing yours, is just bringing in a concern. So, but I do understand. We live in Ghost Town, Manitoba. We live in an area where there's lots of ghost farm stuff. So, yeah, but yeah, neither here nor there. Anything else from council? No. Okay.
Can I offer my 2 cents on this one, council?
Penny for your thought. Go ahead.
Penny for my thoughts. The only concern I do have is regarding the lawn, grass, and weeds. That is a river lot area. It is 27 acres. There's a lot of bush there. In order to maintain that property, that would require tremendous amount of work. So I don't want to disrespect the opinion of the bylaw enforcement officer. I do believe the shed is the reason why it was a concern to begin with. and then having the grass and whatnot. I don't know. That's where I'll stop speaking and let council maybe think that one over.
Okay, so I think my recommendation would be to keep the order as is, except for what Mr. CEO mentioned was the grass length and whatnot, because it is in an area where I've seen many river lots having lots of bush, high grass. That just comes with the territory of the location. Does council want to remove that one portion?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the way I read it, we're concerned about the shed. We're not really concerned about the weeds and all that. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mamchuk. Anyone else on council's opinion?
Well, he can probably get his neighbor to cut the grass since his kids are using it as a dirt bike track anyway in the open spot.
Okay, we'll send the order.
Yeah, I'd agree with the shed. Most of it looks like bush. We couldn't figure out where this was earlier, but yeah, there's bush and burrow pit, and that's about it on this place.
It's beautiful. We walked it. I walked it. When we were looking in Ground Point, I wanted to buy that property, but it was not available. So it is a beautiful property. So cleaning it up would be nice, I guess.
So you'd like to see the grass cut, Councillor
No.
Belanger?
No, I think it's beautiful as is. It's just the shed.
Okay. Thank you for your purely Michigan.
I agree with you, Councillor Belanger.
Councillor Clayton, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm on side with that. I mean, it looks like the property is being used as a dirt bike track, but I mean, if the concern is with a shed that's, you know, near the end of its life, and it was an issue at one point for someone, or there was a complaint involved with it, I think we should unfortunately take it down.
Okay, then with that adjustment in the resolution, I will call for the vote.
That vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 3.5, 1926. Sorry, am I on the right spot? Yeah, 1926 Carrier Road.
Okay, this is for a hobby farm and keeping of animals. The order was dated back in February 4th of 2020. I believe the appellants came to council at a planning meeting and discussed the matter and situation where they were at that time. And with the change in legislation because of our new zoning bylaw, the 4 acres are applicable now, and they're allowed to keep the 10 chickens, I believe. I'm not sure how many they have at this time. I will turn it over to our assistant CAO to comment more on this, as she's the one who's been dealing with this one and also the next topic.
Okay, go ahead.
So this one here, sorry, just muting me too. All right, so like you said, they did come to the office here to discuss their appeal. And so at this point in time, we're just looking for a formal resolution to confirm whether or not you're willing to allow them to keep their 40 chickens. So what they were asking for was to keep the chickens that they have until that number decreases to their allowable amount of units as per the zoning bylaw. So for today, we're just looking for you to confirm the decision via resolution.
Hey, your worship, you're muted again there.
Thank you, your deputy worship. They're at 40 and the goal is to get them down to 10, correct?
Correct. And they were, I believe, willing to just keep what they have and let their flock die off, essentially.
Okay, do we proceed with this as we did the other ones, Mr. CO or Mrs. Assistant CO, where I asked the bylaw officer for any order explanation?
No, this is not a hearing. They've already presented. So now you're just discussing and moving to moving, seconding, and voting.
Okay, so I'm gonna move it. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Second.
Councillor Clayton.
Okay, I will open it up for debate. Council, what's your thoughts on as is until they get down to the 10?
Well, the 10 isn't valid because they only have 2 acres and apparently we went with 4 acres on our bylaw.
Right. So at this point, the flock will have to just decrease and to the point where I guess they would have 0. Yeah. So, and if we move forward with the changes that we have proposed for the zoning bylaw, they would then be in compliance to have the 10 chickens.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, okay, I get it. A little confusing to us, but.
Okay, so we are changing it to 2?
Yes.
Yes, that was in the changes.
Okay.
So we're going, bring them down to 0, but we're gonna change the bylaw up to, down from 4 to 2 so they can have 10. Do I hear 15? Do I hear 18? Do I hear 12? Do I hear 7?
No, we've discussed this and that's correct. We've agreed, or not agreed, but that was the discussion, to go to 2 acres and have 10 chickens. And then every acre after that, 5 chickens, I believe, for every acre after that, correct?
I think you
and
just
no
added.
roosters. And no
Right.
roosters.
Correct, no roosters.
Just at Councilor Pelletier's house on Saturdays. Let's bring it to vote because we've discussed this already.
Well, I want to make sure we're
call.
voting on the right thing here. Are we voting on allowing them to have 10, or allowing them to keep the chickens that they have and die down to 10? Is that what we're voting on?
No additional chickens may be purchased until the current flock of chickens decreases in size to follow the standards set out in the zoning bylaw, which my assumption is will be the zoning bylaw that we are adjusting. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. 3.6, 2477 Halima Drive.
Great, sorry about it. Great, so this one here, a dog removal order was issued to the property on July 15th. At this point in time, we did not have an animal control officer hired. Therefore, we weren't able to actually remove a dog from this property. So essentially what we're looking to do today is to, again, make a formal resolution. So this, we had contacted you in regards to this one by email already regarding the fact that we weren't able to follow through with this dog removal order at the time since we didn't have anyone hired. So we're just looking to move forward with having that canceled.
Yeah, so I'll call for a mover.
Councilor Peltier.
Second.
Councillor Belanger.
Thank you. Just don't all jump at once there. Okay, I'll open it up for just a quick discussion. I just want to add that it's very unfortunate that a dog bite happened. I hate to see this in Richot, both for the animal and the human. I think now that we have our ducks in a row, we'll be a lot more, we'll have our due diligence in order, and we will be able to execute something a lot more efficient. So that's all I wanted to say, but how does council feel with everything else in the resolution going forward?
Well,
Yes.
I think, yeah, I think this this incident, you're right, it is unfortunate. Personal experience, we've walked by there with my dog, my daughters. The dog came crashing out of the yard at us. My daughter turned around, said, "Go back home." It stopped, it turned around, and it went back home. It seems like it's a one-of incident where it got frightened by the person's actions. I don't know the whole, you know, it's hard to say unless you're there, but there's a bit of a conflict in the story as to what actually happened, what took place. But in looking at the owners and what they've done so far, they've hired a trainer, they've got a fence, they've done everything. They feel horrible. They've done everything they possibly can to ensure this will not happen again. I feel they're responsible dog owners, and this could be a one-of incident, in my opinion.
Thank you, Councillor Cesar Millan. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm the dog whisperer.
No, I agree 100%. I think going forward, we're well more prepared for this. So I guess we'll just bring it to vote because we've discussed this already. Please cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4, adjournment. Do I have a mover?
Councilor Blanchet.
Oh. Oh man, why would you do that?
I'll second.
Thank you.
I missed that. What was it?
It's the Raptors score, and I wanted to watch the rest of the game, and Councillor Palchi just.
Oh no.
Okay, all in favor? Let's just raise our hands here. Okay, thank you. That adjourns the meeting at 9:23 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I appreciate you being here.